Hello? What do you want? No, why'd you just call me? All right, bye.
Welcome to Williams Field here in Elizabeth, everybody. Michael Lanier alongside Chris Witzel. We're the 5-0 undefeated Westfield Blue Devils taking on the Elizabeth Minutemen 3-2. Chris, Westfield had a big win last week against a tough opponent in Union, 28-13. But now they come on the road. What's going to be the key tonight?
Mike, last week the running game was a little off. Ishmael Glasgow only had 98 rushing yards. Phil Martini, however, had 211 yards passing with 2 TDs. So Phil's likely the one to look to this game, Mike.
Ish Glasgow on the return. Past the 15-yard line.
And Mike, going back to last game, Westfield's offense did an outstanding job moving the ball. We saw Kyle Dombrowski get involved a lot. Had most of his catches, had about 6 last game. Like he only had 1 before that game. And Phil Martini showing off his arm again. He even got interviewed by Philo News 1 after the game because he was the player of the game. So right now Phil's having a great season, Mike.
Hands it off to Glasgow up the middle for a couple yards there. And Chris, Ish Glasgow has just been tremendous this season from week 1 to up until now. Obviously, Matt Verano was the starter week 1, but he has a good game against Linden, then goes down with injury, and Glasgow's just been huge for this Blue Devil offense.
Yeah, Mike, Ish Glasgow already has 6 rushing touchdowns on the season, along with a kick return and 2 pick sixes. So Ish is having a great year. However, last week he only had 98 yards rushing. We usually see him get around the 130 marker, so Mike. So that dropped him down to 5.5 yards a carry. Before last game, he was at 7.4. So let's hope Ish can get back in a rhythm.
Martini throws this one, and it's complete over the middle to Kyle Dombrowski for a big gain and a first down for Westfield.
Yeah, Mike, I'm glad to see Dombrowski getting involved more in the passing game. As I said before, he was a big target last week, but wasn't much in the first 4 games. There he got a nice 12-yard gain. Good to see him coming out of the gate strong.
Kaplan in the backfield along with Glasgow. 2 receivers for the Blue Devils. Another handoff to Glasgow. This time he's wrapped up quickly by number 59, Jeremiel Taylor, the 6'2", 220-pound senior. His second tackle of the game.
And Mike, this Minutemen D-line is huge out there with number 75, Darius Green-Orr, weighing in at 300 pounds, Mike. Just stuffed the middle right there. And as you said, number 59, Jeremiel Taylor, getting into the backfield to stop Ish Glasgow. This Westfield O-line is going to have a tough task against them, Mike.
3 receivers this time for the Blue Devils. Shirk and Moriarty on the near side. I believe it's McDaniel on the far side. Martini keeps this one and picks up a good gain to bring up 3rd and short.
Mike, on the tackle, that was Christopher McCary, the senior. But we saw Phil Martini have his first rushing touchdown last week, Mike, and that was the first time we seen him run the ball not inside the red zone. Nice little read option there. Saw that the defensive lineman was going in and staying put instead of staying put. So Phil picked up about 7 or 8 yards there, Mike. So it's good to see Phil using his legs instead of his arm.
3rd and 2 for Westfield on their own 41. Kaplan and Glasgow in the backfield again. 2 receivers for the Blue Devils. Up the middle goes Glasgow. And it looks like he stopped short of the first down marker.
And
Malachi Mathis on the stop. Brings up 4th and 1, and Westfield has to send out the punting unit.
Yeah, Mike, last week Westfield didn't get off to a strong start like they usually do. And Elizabeth, just as tough, just as big as Union. So it's going to be another tough task for Westfield, as you said before. But Kyle Dombrowski, who's been amazing at punting the ball down the field and pinning their opponents back deep, He's had a few inside the 5-yard line. Let's see if he can get it back that far again, Mike.
And that was only the second time this year, as that was nearly blocked. Bounces at the 27 and then picked up at the 19. Still on his feet is Jameen Moose, and he's knocked out of bounds around the 28. As I was saying, only the second time for Westfield that they started out with the ball this year. They usually like to defer that kickoff.
Yeah, Mike. So that probably means Minutemen won the toss and they decided to defer because, I mean, this is the sixth game of the season, 2 times. So, I mean, Westfield usually kicks the ball off to begin the game, Mike. They get the ball at the half, and they usually score right before the half ends. So when they get the ball back, they're probably going to go up by 2, maybe even 3 scores at the time, which gives them the momentum to carry on and win the game.
So here comes the Elizabeth offense. The Minutemen coming off a big win over Hunterdon Central.
And Mike, Adam McDaniel's out there for injured Ben Kelly with a separated shoulder. So let's see what the junior can do out here in his first start as safety this season. Tackled there by number 41, Jalen Hernandez. I mean, my mistake, Jeffrey Gagum. Sorry, looking at the wrong stat sheet.
Short gain for Elizabeth, so it's 2nd and 8. LaShawn Taylor throws out, screen pass to the right. Jabriel Hernan picks up a first down.
And Mike, looks like this Minutemen offense is running with a few bubble screens to the flats. And the outside linebackers who are guarding them, Dayon and Joe Sanjicom, are having a tough time getting to the outside and limiting them to a few yards, as we saw there. The Minutemen wide receiver just bounced to the outside and got over 10 yards.
Elizabeth going no huddle, and here's a big run up the middle by Javon Wachter. So the Minutemen going no huddle and moving quickly, and Chris, that was just too easy for the running back, Wachter.
Yeah, Mike.
Big hole up the middle. Westfield's gonna have to fix that. Another screen out to the receiver on the right, and a couple nice moves made by Harmon, his second catch of the day.
Yeah, Mike, again, Harmon, he's just dancing around out there, breaking tackles. He just broke off from Joe Sangiacomo. We've seen Joe, he's more of a containment outside linebacker, forces the run to the middle, not too much of a defensive back. He had 1 pick this season, but that was against Linden, and that was the first game of the season.
2nd and 1, Elizabeth goes on the ground. There is a flag on the play. Wachter got brought down short of that first down marker. And Chris, this Elizabeth team used to be a powerhouse here in Union County. Coming off a pretty good year last year with a 7-3 record. But going back to 2014, as the penalties on Westfield, it's going to be a first down for Elizabeth. Going back to 2014, 2 years ago, the Minutemen win 9-3, made the state championship at MetLife and lost to Linden. 2012, Elizabeth won it all. 2011, they lost in the state title. So this is a good Minutemen team.
And Mike, that could, what just happened right there? And Jeffrey Gagum is down, Mike. No, never mind, he's getting up. But right there, that could be viewed as intentional grounding because the quarterback for the Minutemen, LaShane Taylor, he threw that ball and didn't even make it back to the line of scrimmage. He did have a receiver in the vicinity, but I'm not sure what the flag was originally thrown for.
6:31 left here in the opening quarter at Williams Field.
So it looks like they're picking up the flag.
The officials have picked up the flag and are going to wave it off. For the Minutemen, their head coach, Jameel Jackson, in his first year leading the Minutemen, and off to a pretty good start at 3-2. Looking deep, it's incomplete. LaShane Taylor just overthrew that one, had a receiver open down the field.
And yeah, Mike, this season, Westfield defense already has 15 sacks and 10 interceptions, so risky pass there by Taylor. As Ish Glasgow already, as I said before, 2 pick sixes, but he also has 3 interceptions on the season. Stevie Barden with 2, Adam McDaniel with 1, and Joe Sangiacomo and Drew Ortiz both with 1. So a little risky decision there to go for it deep this early in the game. It brings up a 3rd and long. There they probably could have gotten a few yards, make it a 3rd and short, maybe about a 3rd and 4 with the way they're running the football. But right now, it's just being a balanced game, Mike.
3rd and 10 for Elizabeth. Taylor steps back under pressure, and he is sacked by Jake Valabera.
Mike, that's, I believe, Jake Val's first sack of the season, if not his second. We haven't seen him get in the backfield this much this season as we've seen Owen Kessler, Nick Marr, and Kyle Dombrowski, but huge sack there by the junior. Brings up the punting team for the Minutemen with Jack Shirk back deep for Westfield.
Yeah, interesting spot at the 41. And if it was 4th and a little closer, maybe they go for it. But being 4th and 20, the only option here is to punt.
Yeah, Mike, it's basically no man's land. I mean, in this place, they can punt it or throw it.
High punt, and fair catch was called for by Shirk, but he lets it bounce into the end zone.
Mike, that was a heads-up decision. Beautiful call there by Jack Shirk. He knew the defenders were right there. He saw the ball had some front spin going to it. He moved to the last second. Instead of having the ball at their own, I want to say, 11-yard line, they get it at the 20, so excellent decision there from Jack Shirk, letting that roll into the end zone. And Westfield gets the ball back with 5:27 left in this first quarter. Let's see if they can do it again, Mike, and score first.
It was Brian Butrago, the junior punter, on for that kick.
Westfield will start from the 21-yard line. 1st and 10.
Martini looking over the middle. There's Kyle Dombrowski again, his 2nd catch, and it's good for a Westfield first down.
And Mike, it takes an army out there to bring down Dombrowski, but the main tackler on the play was number 45 for the Minutemen. My mistake, number 46, Johan Melendez.
Elizabeth's 3 wins came against Watchung Hills, Linden, and Hunterdon Central. They lost to Hillsborough and Union. Westfield's obviously taking care of everybody they faced this season. There goes Glasgow up the middle, and he trucks him defender and picks up about 8.
Mike, Ish Glasgow lowering his shoulder right there, showing his power. First time this game we've seen him rush for more than 5 yards, and right there made a big statement, lowering his shoulder, putting over number 6, Migerson Joseph. And at Westfield drill, Mike, at their own 41-yard line, but in this field position, that's where they're excellent, Mike.
2nd and 1 for Westfield. Martini gives it up. There goes Glasgow off a cut, picks up a big chunk of yards, but there is a flag down late.
Unsportsmanlike conduct on the defense, Mike. So that's going to move Westfield up 15 yards from the spot of the foul or where the ball was called dead.
It's a 15-yard penalty, and that's crucial for this Elizabeth defense. Ball goes all the way to the Elizabeth 32.
Mike, I'm not sure what the penalty was there, but Westfield once again using the penalties from their opponents to get in excellent field position. We saw that with Watchung Hills, Union, and Franklin. And looks like the Minutemen are going to add to that list too, Mike.
Under 4 minutes here in the opening quarter. Shotgun formation, 2 men in the backfield, 3 receivers. Martini looking for Shirk. A lot of hand gestures right there. No flag called. Shirk and Belton of Elizabeth John back and forth as Shirk was running that route on the near sideline.
Yeah, Mike, look like there was some pushing and shoving out there, both by Shirk and Belton, both number 5 out there. Looked like Phil was just trying to throw a back shoulder pass to Shirk near the sideline. And there was some, as I said, there was some pushing and shoving, but both by Belton and Shirk. So, I mean, that's why there's no flag. And Mike, this season the Westfield offense has scored 176 points already through 5 games. And the way they're going through all these 5 games, Mike, it looks like they're going to add a lot to this point total tonight.
Glasgow sprinting up the middle for a nice gain. Brings up 3rd and about 3.
If you were Coach Asarno here, Mike, would you allow Ish to run the football again, try to see if he can do what he did before, use his power, try to get the first down, or would you let Phil throw the ball?
Well, I think you got to hand it off to Glasgow again. It was actually my mistake, 3rd and 6, because the and that's going to be encroachment on Elizabeth. We saw that in the last drive. Officials didn't call it. They got it this time.
And Mike, that'll
5-yard penalty is crucial, Chris, as you're about to say.
Yeah.
Makes it 3rd and 1.
Yeah, Mike, we saw that last game too. Phil Martini with the hard snap count. Last week they got Union to jump off sides a bunch of times to just give them first downs when it was 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3. And right now it was only 3rd and 6, but they're close to the first down marker. And most likely we'll hand it off to Ish Glasgow there because a 3rd and 6, that's more of a passing situation.
And now another flag. This one will again be encroachment on Elizabeth.
And Mike, I believe that was the same player, number 21, Dorian Valdez. Jumped the first time. Phil Martini baiting the hook in there. Got him again. So now Westfield first down, not even from even throwing or running the football, but just from penalties. And so Westfield has, they are in the red zone, Mike, at the 19-yard line. Let's see if they can punch it in right now.
Clock's still ticking at 2:30. 1st and 10 for the Blue Devils. Martini fakes a pass, then makes it to Shirk, but he's unable to bring that one and complete the catch as he's falling to the ground, lost control of the ball.
Yeah, Mike, he had possession of it first, but Belton just got a hand in there, took it out. It's going to be a tough night for Shirk to get the ball to him. Let's see if Phil will look to one of his other great wide receivers, Mike Moriarty, because Shirk this season already has 6 receiving touchdowns. Moriarty has 5, so they're both very balanced, but Shirk has more receiving yards with 358. Let's see if Moriarty can get going this night, Mike.
Yeah, Chris, Westfield really likes to balance the pass and run as there goes Glasgow for about 4 or 5 yards there. But there's only been really 2 main targets for Phil Martini this year. The duo of senior receivers, Mike Moriarty and Jack Shirk, combining for over 560 yards coming into tonight. Kyle Dombrowski been quiet through the first 5 weeks, but we've already seen him make 2 catches for about over 25 yards. And then Adam McDaniel sort of stepped onto the scene, had that long touchdown against Watchung Hills and a catch last week.
Yeah, Mike, in the beginning of the season, we saw Martini throwing it to Moriarty a lot. Back-to-back games, we saw him do it, but then we saw Shirk come into the rotation, and then McDaniel. Let's see if we can get Dombrowski going in there as well. Maybe a little swing pass to Ish Glasgow here and there, get him involved. But Dombrowski, Mike, he's more in there for his blocking, as we've seen in 2 games this season. First game, Ish Glasgow, 80-yard TD run. Dombrowski, huge block. Last week against Union, near the to the near sideline. Dombrowski again, huge block to allow Ish to get another big gain.
Well, yellow flags keep coming out as Glasgow makes that catch and picks up good yardage. But before that play, it was a false start on Westfield, moved them back 5 yards. So now it brings up 3rd and short, about 4 yards, depending on the spot. Big play coming up for Westfield, and 2 main targets with Moriarty and Shirk. Now that Verano's done, there's really only 1 threat for Westfield to run the football. It's number 9, Ish Glasgow.
And yeah, Mike, along with Glasgow, we're probably going to see some of Wandre House in the in later games, Mike. He's coming off an injury with a broken clavicle. He was cleared by doctors today, actually. So we'll probably get in the rotation.
Jack Shirk makes that catch. And the spot looks just short. About a yard or 2 short.
And Mike, they're bringing in the powerhouse offense right now. Owen Kessler in the backfield with Kaplan. Tommy Norris out there at tight end.
Big 4th down. Glasgow up the middle. Ball did come out as we await the officials to sort this thing out.
And Mike, looked like he got the first down there. It looks like he got to about the 8.5-yard line. The position's at the 9, and the ball came out. So if it went forward again and Westfield picked it up, that's a first down, Mike.
The Blue Devils came away with the football, and it's a first down. Believe it's a first down. I have official timeout. Stay with you here on BDTV. 22 seconds left in this first quarter. And Chris, Westfield, they like to be risky and take chances. This is a team, I believe Mike Moriarty's, he's 22 of 23 on extra points. The only one he missed was a blocked. I believe he's only attempted 1 or 2 field goals this year. I believe there's only one that opening week. And actually the football, as they bring the chains out, is just short. That is a tough blow for the Blue Devils. And Elizabeth, their defense comes up with a big stop late in this first quarter, Chris.
But yeah, Mike, this Westfield defense coming back out there. Shaky first series. There was a huge sack there by Jake Valabera. But let's see if they can do it again like they did last week. Mike, last week, Westfield faced off against 2 extremely good runners running the football, Jerome Whitfield and the quarterback for Union, Beckett. Mike, Westfield's defense limited them to 98 yards rushing. Before that, their lowest was 239 yards against Elizabeth. So that just shows how good this Westfield defense is against these top-tier running backs.
And their defense comes up with a quick stop there. And Chris, this Elizabeth team, they love to run the football, a much more run-heavy team than pass. If you look at it, Taylor, the starting quarterback's only thrown for 170 yards. They also had Naseem Daniels, who's thrown for 90 yards. But they love to run the football. They got 3 different guys with over 100 yards, 2 guys with over 200 yards. And just like last week where the Blue Devils were held scoreless against Union, they're held scoreless tonight, and the 18-game win streak in jeopardy early on as we step aside here on BDTV. So welcome back to Elizabeth, everybody, where the 5-0 Westfield Blue Devils were held scoreless in the first quarter for the 2nd straight week. Minutemen came up with a crucial stop, Chris. Just as that first quarter was winding down, Westfield goes forward on 4th and 1. They run it with Glasgow. And after 5 minutes, the refs say the ball was short. So as we switch sides here, play action, LaShane Taylor takes a shot, and it's caught for a big gain, still on his feet. Eventually brought down near the 41 is the senior tight end, Azir Lawson.
I'm like, that was just bad defense there from McDaniel. Looks like he jumped the gun a little too early. And that allowed number 20, Azir Lawson, just to break free. It was brought down by Stevie Barden and Drew Ortiz, but Adam McDaniel's first start out there. You got to give him some time to develop, get along with this game plan for Westfield.
Yeah, Adam McDaniel, the junior, starting at safety today in place of Ben Kelly, who's out with a shoulder injury that he suffered last week. Short carry for Elizabeth for a loss, actually. It was Walker, the sophomore running back, 5'9", 160. Had a couple nice gains in that first quarter.
And Mike, now we see Connor Skellen out there for Joe Sangiacoma. Sangiacoma before, he got burnt a little bit when there was the bubble screens to the outside. So DeSarno's putting in the more experienced player out there. Just see what he can do, try to limit the passing game in the flat.
Westfield plays that lone safety spot. Taylor taking a shot deep. Stevie Barden with the defense. And he almost intercepted that one, just went over his head a little bit. Yeah, Barden's been playing some really nice football, Chris.
Yeah, Mike, already this season, 2 picks. But also last week, there was that huge play with that tip drill to Ben Kelly, who's out today, Mike. Stevie was just playing excellent defense, got up in the air, tipped it with, I believe it was his left hand, right hand, doesn't matter, but he got it to Ben Kelly. And Ben Kelly ran it back from all the way from, I want to say, the 15 to the 45, Mike. And that was just a great heads-up play by Stevie Barden.
Westfield bringing pressure. Jeff Gagum almost deflected that one, and it's caught by Angel Melendez, the senior halfback
Mike, that'll bring out the punt team again. So Westfield, after giving up that big play, these short throws that LaShane Taylor's throwing right now, Mike, is not getting the job done. And Westfield will get the ball back once again. Jack Shirk back deep. And before, Mike, Westfield nearly got to that.
It was a pretty good punt last time from the junior Batrago. So Shirk standing all the way at the 20. Batrago at the opposing 30. Perfect night for football here in Elizabeth. And Shirk calls for the fair catch at the 25. Got the New York City skyline to the right.
Yeah, Mike, it's a beautiful night for football.
Union County football down in front of us.
We got the full moon out, Mike. No place I'd rather be.
And Chris, we're all the way up here today.
Yeah, Mike, usually we're down the lower booth, protected by the windows. But right now we're out in the open. Camera's to the left. Usually it's above us. But hey, Mike, it's still a great view. As we see, trips left, near side for Westfield. Moriarty, McDaniel, and Shirk.
And this is a possession, Chris. You think Westfield's going to score? There goes Glasgow, and man, he was almost gone. Just tripped up around the 42. It's that shift Glasgow has. He could turn on the Jets any given moment, any play. And you almost saw him go about 75 yards there to the house. Just tripped up.
Yeah, Mike, he was dancing around line of scrimmage, broke free, put on the acceleration burst. But that was a good tackle there by number 2, Christopher McCary. Got him around the ankle, and it looks like he's down on the play, Mike.
Yeah, you're right, Chris. He is down, and they're going to have to give him some medical attention. With 10:15 left in the second quarter, we're going to step aside. You're watching New Jersey High School football here on BD TV. So Christian McCrary able to walk off, actually run off on his own power there. Good to see that he's all right. Moriarty in motion, and he gets the ball. We saw a similar play last week, and back-to-back weeks it just doesn't work as they try a little misdirection with Mike Moriarty.
Yeah, Mike, I mean, running the football to the outside with receivers, it's a tricky play sometimes, but Westfield's not having the best luck with it. I would just keep giving the ball to Ish Glasgow if he's going to try to run it. Or, Mike, even maybe, if DeSarno has it in his playbook, a wide receiver pass. We've seen that many times in the NFL, usually in college, though, with those trick plays. But once again, Westfield has wide receivers lined up left, near side, with Glasgow in the backfield and Dombrowski far side at tight end. And it's a long second down.
Yeah, he lost 5 on that play. Near hash, here goes Glasgow. He's got a hole up the middle. Still on his feet, picks up a first down, a 17-yard gain for Ish Glasgow.
I'm like, Ish Glasgow, he just won't go down. As we said before, he's just putting on the acceleration burst. Made it to the outside before we saw him. He didn't have enough room in the first series to make a play, but right now he's getting huge holes from Jack McCauley, Fran Allegro, Max Swetchy, Jordan Barr, and the entire offensive line. And right now, Ish Glasgow just having the time of his life out there, getting huge gains time and time again.
So the Blue Devils now in Minutemen territory. Martini gives his handoff to Glasgow. It was a little bit of a late handoff, and then 5 or 6 black shirts just collapse on Ish.
Yeah, Mike, right now, Westfield, I would try to pass it a little bit more because Glasgow, the Minutemen are just catching on, giving the ball every play. They're going to catch on. They're going to take them down. They have 3 receivers out. They're the best receivers on the team right now, McDaniel, Moriarty, and Shirk, along with Dombrowski over there at tight end. Let's see if they'll take a shot deep now, Mike, because that's when Westfield gets their big plays. Last week, Jack Shirk, 55-yard touchdown from a wheel route. And
yeah, that was right after the Barden tip and Kelly interception. So shotgun Martini steps back and throws. The throw a little bit low. Moriarty probably should have had that one, not able to catch it. Brings up 3rd and 10 for Westfield, a big one, with 8.5 left in the second quarter.
Yeah, Mike, as you said, Moriarty probably should have caught that. Martini put it the only place it could be, right around the ankle. So if he threw any higher, the Minutemen defensive back would have got there in time. But Westfield just got to put that aside. They're at their own, they're at the Minutemen's 40-yard line. 3rd and 10, they've been in this situation before, and they get the job done. Let's see if they do it again.
Two receivers to the left. Excuse me, one to the right. And Glasgow is brought down for a big loss. The front four of Elizabeth comes up big. It was number 59, Jeremiah Taylor, who had that tackle on the first play of the game and gets a stop there and forces Westfield to send out Kyle Dombrowski and punt this one away.
Yeah, Mike, when Westfield wins games, it's from a balanced offense. Right now, they just keep giving the ball to Ish. He's doing a fantastic job, but you just can't keep giving the ball every play. Phil Martini's got to keep the passing game going. 211 yards last game, 667 on the season. I mean, you got to put the ball in Martini's hands and let him find a receiver.
Good punt from Dombrowski. Bounces inside the 15 and will roll to the 14 where LaShane Taylor and the Minutemen will take over. Taylor, by the way, only a sophomore, starting at quarterback, 6 foot, 160 pounds.
And Mike, that could be Hank Shapiro next year. He's already only a freshman, Mike. But I mean, what a football career he's had. He's led his travel team from D team to A team. That's the intermediate middle school league, Mike, to 4 straight Super Bowls. And he's having a great freshman year. And there's a bit of conversation for next year with Phil Martini gone and with Jake Salter, Matt McIntyre, and Hank Shapiro competing for that QB spot. He might come out and be a sophomore quarterback, starting sophomore quarterback.
And I'm sure Shapiro's out there taking notes like we see every game right next to the Sarno. There's a carry for the Minutemen, a couple yards.
I'm like, for a game 30 minutes away, we got a lot of Westfield support out there on the far side of the field. Not as much as we see with the student section and all those parents and fans out there at the home games.
Well, but Chris, with these huge bleachers,
yeah,
doesn't look like a huge crowd, but those would probably fill up decent portion of the main bleachers at Keller. Just a beautiful facility here in Elizabeth. To the left, we got an awesome baseball field, and looking down at it, Williams Field's here, awesome turf. Probably the best booth we'll be at all year. And that one nearly intercepted. Instead, a spin move and a big first down for Jabriel Harmon.
Yeah, Mike, Westfield, I think they should play a little more conservative and stop going for the ball. If Dayon didn't go for the ball there, he probably would have wrapped him up, brought him down behind the line, but just a little antsy to try to get that ball. If he was just there a second earlier, that would have been a pick six, Mike, no doubt. All his momentum was going forward, but that now brings up a first down and a pretty good gain there for number 10, Jabriel Harmon.
Ball comes out, but he stays with it. Still on his feet, eventually brought down. Nick Marr will get credit with the tackle.
Mike, you don't see that too often. Fumbled, recovered, still on his feet, and doesn't even take him down. But
it was Jamin Moose who lost that one.
And Mike, that actually gained him a yard. So what could have been a horrible turn of events for the Minutemen, lucked out for them gaining him a yard. But that was great defense there from Westfield with the containment for the pocket. And it brings up a 2nd and long for the Minutemen. And let's see what the sophomore quarterback can do.
And that one's caught for a first down by number 13, Angel Melendez.
And Mike, this Minutemen offense is doing exactly the opposite of what this Westfield offense is doing. They're balancing the running game and the passing game. The sophomore quarterback, LaShane Taylor, he's running the ball, giving the ball off to number 11, Javon Wachter, but he's also throwing it to his top receivers, and that's getting him first downs.
Jeff Gagum wraps him up in the backfield.
I'm like, Jeff Gagum, we don't see him too much in on sacks, but we do see him on gains for a loss for the opposing team. He has over 6 this year already, Mike, so that gets him a lot of stickers on his helmet, along with that entire defensive line. They're just having an outstanding season. As I said before, 15 sacks, Mike. Owen Kessler with 9, Nick Marr with, I believe, 2, Jeff Gagum with 2, and Val with 1.
And Chris, right now, Elizabeth has brought in a new quarterback. It's senior, who's listed as a receiver and defensive back on the roster, Jamin Moose. And that pass is hit the ground. Not sure what the call was there.
I'm like, either way, Westfield, it's a third down. If it's forward progress, they lose a yard, but if it's incomplete, it's just a third and I believe 14, so it's pretty long. Mike, if you were Coach Asarno, would you pull out one of your linebackers and bring in another safety so they don't give up the big pass play?
Well, we've seen Elizabeth get some of those big pass plays, so maybe.
But Mike, with Ben Kelly out, Adam McDaniel, the only safety out there, he's not really open to many options. I mean, Wandre House, we've seen him play cornerback in freshman year, but that was all. But he's just getting back from injury. There's not many open. We have Aeneas Brown, the sophomore, the backup for McDaniel.
So, Chris, they sort that one out. It was an incomplete pass. Weird play, hit the ground, and they just went on with it. So it's 3rd and 14. But how about the decision now from Elizabeth's coach, Jameel Jackson, coming on with a new quarterback. And nice move from Moose as he escapes. Gagum escapes another man, and then Nick Marr will bring him down out of bounds. It's either going to be a late hit or a horse collar. Elizabeth's sideline was not happy, and a flag was thrown. But we see the, sort of like last week from Union's quarterback Justin Beckett, Jamin Moose just escaping these defenders with his quick feet.
Yeah, Mike, Westfield has to do a better job of containment. Jeffrey Gagum got in there. If he brought him down, all this commotion would not be happening. There was a huge block on Jacob Dayon that got the entire Minutemen sideline pumped. And then that personal foul with a late hit on Nick Marr. It'll bring up another penalty for Westfield, but it'll also put the Minutemen in Westfield territory. And Mike, we haven't seen this late of a ball game, we haven't seen Westfield not score.
4:19 left in the second quarter. Seems like that clock is really ticking fast tonight. And NJ.com was saying it was going to be a test for Westfield. Personally, I didn't really agree with it, but so far it's been the case. Moose takes a shot deep. 2 defenders in the area, and it's batted away by McDaniel.
Yeah, Mike, if one of those Westfield defenders, McDaniel or Barton, got a hand on that, that would have shifted huge momentum with this Minutemen offense pushing down the field. If one of those, if McDaniel or Barton picked that off, that would have completely shifted momentum. It would have had Westfield pinned back deep, but we've seen them score from their own 1 yard line or within their own 5 yard line, Mike. So right now they're just trying to throw the long ball. Number 8, you said before, Jermaine Musey, the wide receiver, coming in a quarterback, showing what he can do. He just threw a ball there 40 yards down the field.
We have a 2nd and 10 for the Minutemen.
Muse.
Screen pass to the left. Gagum able to bring down Javon Wachter. That's going to be a loss for Elizabeth to bring up 3rd and long. Under 4 minutes left in the half. Here at Williams Field, again, no score. It's been a defensive battle. We saw Westfield, they were inside the red zone, but they go for it on 4th and 1. And Glasgow's brought down just short. Maybe looking back at that now, it's easy to second guess it now other than in the actual moment. Kicking that field goal would have been short field goal, about 35 yards. Definitely well within Moriarty's range. This play is blown dead.
Mike, it's a Minutemen timeout.
As we have a timeout taken by Elizabeth. Their first timeout, 3:22 to go. No score here in Elizabeth. So 3rd and 12 here for Elizabeth.
Mike, Westfield cannot create another penalty
things
here.
Over with their head coach. And it's the starting quarterback, Taylor, back into the game. Pass is caught by Melendez, the senior. Well short of the first down.
I'm like
so interesting, Chris, right there. They get the ball from the punt. They bring in Jermaine Moose, but then after they drive down about 50 yards, about 50 yards, yeah, and then they call a timeout on 3rd and long. Bring in the original starter, LaShane Taylor, but they can't get the first down.
I'm like one of Westfield's best tacklers, Drew Ortiz. We saw him have huge games in the past. He almost brought him down to limit him to not that many.
Third punt of the day for Elizabeth. Bounces inside the 5, and great punt right there. Gets the backspin on the bounce, and Westfield has to start this one from the 3.
Yeah, Mike, you can't get a better punt than that. Number 34, Brian Butrago with a beautiful punt. Beautiful backspin on it. Looked like that was going to go right into the end zone. Jack Shirk avoided it before, and that went into the end zone. Right there, I did the same thing. But that was just beautiful punt overall. And was pins back Westfield deep into their own territory with about 2:30 left to go. And Mike, would you be conservative as Westfield or try to punch some points in right now?
Well, Chris, there's no score right now. I think you have to take some shots. Try to get, because remember, they're kicking away to start the third quarter. Definitely take some shots. Try to get some offense going. But with the first few plays, yeah, you got to be careful. You don't want Martini under pressure getting hit for a safety. So they run it out with Glasgow. About 2nd and 9.
And Mike, if I was Coach Estarno right now, I would probably have a surprise for the Minutemen defense, throwing into Jack Shirk or Mike Moriarty on the outside. Look how much open space Shirk has over there on the far side, Mike. That's about 20, 30 yards. So if he gets it and goes open, Mike, he's gone. 99-yard touchdown.
Yeah, Chris, definitely keep your eye there. Martini faced one way, and he goes to Shirk. He actually had goes to Kyle Dombrowski. Jack Shirk, by the way. Martini wasn't looking, but Shirk was wide open around the middle of the field.
Yeah, Mike, if Martini just brought that ball back just a second longer, he would have seen Shirk. And Mike, as we said, reservations for 6, 99-yard touchdown. But with 1:20 to go, Westfield is slow to get to the line.
Yeah, as you said, slow to get to the line. They're taking their time. They do have all 3 timeouts remaining. I guess maybe you don't want, if they were to get stopped here, you don't want to punt it, give Elizabeth good field position. Glasgow up the middle, lowers the shoulder, picks up a first down. Under a minute now. We'll see if DeSarno wants to use a timeout.
And Kaplan's coming out, McDaniel's coming in, so it looks like DeSarno was going to try to get the ball down the field. My mistake, Ishmael Glasgow came out, Kaplan stays in the game.
The clock stops momentarily for, they got to move the chains in high school and college. Martini looking a little deep, but just Moriarty, not a great throw for Martini there.
Yeah, like we haven't seen, he doesn't have his best stuff tonight. It's a little colder than they're usually playing in. Tough to hold on to the ball, tough to wrap up defenders. But right now, Martini, he just got to settle down, remain humble out there, remain poised. He's got to find his receivers, trust them, even if it's a little 5-yard out. Maybe one of his receivers, maybe Moriarty or McDaniel near side, can break it and get like a 20, 30-yard gain, and that can just get the momentum going.
2nd and 10, Westfield keeps it on the ground, and Glasgow not able to get much there. Neither team gonna call a timeout, and there might only be one more play in this half. Great first half for Elizabeth, Chris, but definitely a disappointing first half for Westfield.
Yeah, Mike. I mean, Westfield 5-0, 18 in a row, dating back to 2014 Thanksgiving Day. Not going their way. They're just going to run up the clock, Mike. I mean, 0-0 going into the half. We've never seen Westfield do this. They want to get the ball down the field like they did last week. It's going to be tough for Westfield to make changes. The Minutemen are going to get the ball back to begin the third quarter. But, like, if I was going to say some of the momentum was going in the Minutemen favor, I'm like, any last words to go into the halftime?
Well, Chris, the viewers who wanted some competitive close games, that's what you have tonight. No score through 24 minutes of football. The Blue Devils and Minutemen locked up in a good one. So don't go anywhere. Stick around for this second half. Welcome back to Elizabeth, everybody, where the Blue Devils are in a tight one. No score through 24 minutes of football. Beautiful Friday night here in Elizabeth. Just saw the skyline of NYC, and Alex, Westfield received to start the game, so they got to kick this one away. What was your take on that first half?
You know, I think both teams are really, it's like a war. It's like a battle. And both teams are really going at it. But I've also seen that these defenses have really shown up. You know, even though we've seen a lot of penalties, lots of 3-and-outs. You know, I don't think there, between Elizabeth and Westfield, hasn't been a drive over 50 yards yet.
Jamin Moose switching fields left and right, still on his feet near the 30. Stays in bounds at the 40. Finally brought down. You don't see that too often, Alex. That's what you call high school football right there. Shea Elliott comes up with a stop. Moose started on the far side, comes all the way around the near side, then tries to come and then goes all the way back to the far side and gets a dang good return at the 42.
Yeah, I mean, you don't, especially in the NFL, you don't see like crossing from the other side. You know, you only see coming up the middle. You don't see special plays only when, we get really nice blocks on the inside to create openings. But that was just, I mean, he's just extremely shifty, puts moves on guys that he's untackleable. I mean, he had to have been running for about 20 seconds.
It's LaShane Taylor at quarterback for the Minutemen. It's a pitch to Doreen Valdez. Penalty marker down at the 40, probably going to be holding on the offensive line, and it will be. 10-yard penalty on the first play from scrimmage for the Minutemen.
Yeah, I think that's something that we've seen that's been extremely consistent between both teams, especially on the defensive end. Both teams have had, I think both teams have had unsportsmanlike conduct fouls, lots of offsides on the Elizabeth end, and it's just kind of been a sloppy game in that remark.
Well, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how these Blue Devils handle a game like this, Alex, because Westfield football hasn't been involved in a tight game since last December at MetLife against Bridgewater. That pass is nearly intercepted. Ish Glasgow first just over the hands of the receiver. Glasgow almost had that one. Jabril Harmon just couldn't bring it in. Glasgow's right behind him, sort of bobbles it. And man, Alex, if he catches that ball, it's a touchdown. The whole momentum of this ball game is a complete turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, there hasn't been a score yet, field goal or touchdown. Ish had so much room, so much open field. That would have easily been a pick six. I just still can't believe he didn't get his hands on it. We know that I don't think he has fumbled yet on the year from a running game, but we know that he's one special player. He's extremely fast, and he'll put moves on guys that won't let him tackle him. 2nd
and 22 under pressure is Taylor throwing it deep. Stevie Barden again makes a great deflection. The junior is really playing some good football, Alex. Yeah, I mean, we've seen him. I think that's got to be his third deflection. He's playing one heck of a ball game at the corner spot. And, and on that play specifically, actually, it looked like the ball was in both hands of the guys, and the receiver and Stevie, and neither of them can bring it in. And I just, that again, another turnaround play that could have shifted the momentum on both sides of the ball. And Chris, it was 2nd and 22 for Elizabeth, and now they're just going to back it up more after the play. Naseem Daniels, the junior receiver, who was the intended receiver on that deep pass, spikes the ball, and it's going to back up Elizabeth a lot. And going back to Glasgow, where he almost caught that one, it's a tough play because it looks easy from here, but that ball gets deflected, takes an awkward angle. Maybe that's why Glasgow couldn't bring it in. But let's see here now with this penalty how far it's going to move back Elizabeth.
So it'll be 3rd, 37 on the 15-yard line for the minute.
Time to do some math and look at that scoreboard. Get a shot of that. 3rd and 37. First time I'll and the only time I'll ever say that probably. Still on his feet, under pressure is Taylor, and he is sacked.
And it looked like Owen Kessler brought him down initially, and Jake Valverde was there to help on the sack. Big time play. That's going to bring back with a 4th down, and there's going to be a punt, and Jack Shirk's going to be inside their own 50. I'm sorry, the Elizabeth 50.
Jake Valberg makes his 2nd sack of the game.
And, you know, I remember his first sack in the first quarter. I mean, it didn't even look like there was an offensive lineman even blocking. He came out of nowhere like a freight train. Huge hit on the quarterback. And got the sack in the first quarter.
So 3rd and 37. Now about, excuse me, now 4th and 45. So you couldn't have asked for a better opening possession if you're this Westfield defense.
I mean, everything has been positive on their end of the ball. I don't, you know, besides for the kickoff.
And the exact opposite for Elizabeth.
Yeah, I mean, Elizabeth hasn't even hasn't gained any yards on this possession. They've only lost. I mean, it looks like basically their only offense has been Jamin Moose, and I just think he's had one heck of a game. But this Elizabeth offense needs to get their act together, and especially when the defense is going to come out, because this is going to be a huge possession for these Westfield Blue Devils. And I could easily see the first score of the game coming up in the next possession. Great field position, excellent opportunity for a touchdown.
4th and 48. Elizabeth backed up in their own end zone to punt this one. Another flag.
Looks like it's going to be offsides, actually.
Yeah, this one's going to be on Westfield. They jumped the snap.
In that play, Mike, you know, this defense has done so well, and basically doing what they're meant to do is to not let Elizabeth gain any more yards, get closer for a touchdown or a field goal, but that was a pretty big mistake. And it's just going to be easier for this punter to get it as far as he can, and also not to get it blocked.
4th punt of the day for Betrago's a low snap and a low kick. Takes a bounce and picked up at the 40. There goes Jack Shirk. Breaks the tackle near the 20 where he's brought down, and the Blue Devils will have great field position thanks to their defense and a nice return by Jack Shirk. I
mean, we were just talking about Jamin Moose having a great kickoff. I mean, putting it all the way from, I would say he caught it about the 20, bringing it all the way, cutting around to about the 39. And just as we switch momentum, Shirk having the same kind of play where he's going to bring it down by Elizabeth's 20 as he caught it from the 45 or the 40-yard line, putting some moves on some guys, having Elizabeth miss some tackles. But like I said before, this is a huge opportunity, and Western needs to seize it as they need to get a score on the board because it's still 0-0. Something needs to happen.
Well, 1st and 10 from the 20. That's going to help. There's Glasgow on the carry. Picks up about 2.
And Mike, once this Glasgow gets out of the backfield, he is so darn good. I think 3 Elizabeth tacklers could not get to him. Finally, he was brought down. I mean, just one shift to one side or the other, and the Elizabeth defender's gone.
Yeah, Glasgow been the workhorse all year long for Westfield. Prior to today's game, 77 carries, 470 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns. He's got 2 pick sixes and a kickoff return. And that pass is complete for a Westfield first down. Mike Moriarty on the receiving end of that one.
And, Mike, it seems like Coach DeSarno, definitely had a good and influential halftime speech. As so far, it's only been positive things from the defense and the offense for the Blue Devils so far.
Yeah, we got word that from Matt Harris up here that halftime they were talking about how the defense has to start tackling. You definitely saw that on the first possession. There's Martini, stays on his feet, and he is in. Phil Martini with an athletic run to give Westfield the first score of the day and take the lead on the road here in Elizabeth.
Yeah, I think that he's just rough and tough kind of play right there. Martini found his way, finally fell into the end zone. I mean, you just can't ask for for a better play for the quarterback. Always you like the passing touchdowns, but once you get a big physical quarterback in the end zone, there's nothing sweeter than that. Moriarty's now going to kick for the extra point, as he's been almost perfect so far this year.
Shirk on the hold, snap from McCauley, and the kick from Moriarty to make it 7-0 Westfield. Scoreless first quarter, first half, Alex, but Westfield wasted no time starting out strong here in the third quarter.
I mean, yeah, I was talking about it, just as we were coming out of the half, that both teams have kind of battled at some point, and the defenses, even with their struggles, have contained the opposite offenses. Many third and outs, lots of punts. But finally, Westfield broke the streak coming out of the half. Just wanting to do everything that they can on the defensive end, the offensive end, not letting Elizabeth gain any yardage except for when they had the offsides penalty on the fourth down play. Finally, the Blue Devils take the ball at the 20. Extremely good field position from Jack Shirk, punt return. And Martini's going to put it in for the touchdown to seal the deal on the drive. Just can't ask for another back-to-back possession for the defense and the offense. And Mike, I'm going to say, prior to this game, according to my stats, 24 total touchdowns has Westfield been able to convert. That's averaging, in the sixth game, that's averaging 4 touchdowns a game. That's a lot of offense, but we haven't seen that tonight. Only one score starting in the second half in the third quarter, and this is just not like the Westfield Blue Devils.
Kick for Moriarty's squib. Picked up at the 25. Maybe they're trying to not kick it to Moose. And Stevie Barden makes the tackle on Dorian Valdez.
Mike, I think that was actually a really smart play. Even though, let's say Elizabeth got some pretty good field position at the 30-yard line, I definitely agree that you do not want to give the ball to Moose, because we just saw in the second to last possession, putting moves everywhere, switching sides of the ball, finally gaining about 20 yards out of the play. He's just one heck of a player, and if the ball's in his hands, Westfield has to find a way to get him on the ground, because otherwise he's going to go all the way for the touchdown.
Moose is in at quarterback, and it's a carry to Wachter, and he picks up about 9. So interesting. First-year head coach for Elizabeth, Jameel Jackson, continues to switch who's under center for the Minutemen, going back and forth between the sophomore LaShane Taylor and the senior Jamin Moose.
I mean, we've talked about other players on the Westfield side, but seeing Moose, extremely versatile player. Not only is he going to get rough and tough on the ball in the trenches as a running back, but he's also going to be the quarterback. You just don't see that in the NFL, Mike.
Yeah, he's definitely Elizabeth's biggest weapon and their best player. Westfield D comes up with a big stop on 2nd and 1 to make it about 3rd and 2. 7.5 left in the third. Third and 1 for Elizabeth. 3 men in the backfield. Quarterback keeps it, Moose, but Westfield's D is there, I believe. Might have been Nick Marr there.
Especially looking at the body language from Moose, I don't think he got it. I don't think he got it anyway, but like I said, looking at his body language, I don't think they got it. Yeah, just short. So now it's going to be a 4th down, another 3 and out from this Elizabeth team. You can definitely see Moose is extremely unhappy with that play. You can argue this Elizabeth team, no points on the board. He hasn't had a lot of help around him, and he's basically kind of putting the team on his shoulders. I kind of feel some sympathy for him. That somebody else needs to, I guess, be a playmaker on this team, because he can't do it all by himself. Football is a team sport. There's no I in team.
Petrago is warming up on that sideline, punting away, and he's having a busy night punting. It was a good one there. Fair catch taken around the 30, just at the 30. So Westfield's offense will come out for their second drive of the third quarter with just over 6 minutes left. Not so great field position this time. Last time they were in heaven, Alex, starting at the opponent's 20. This time at their own 30. Shotgun for Phil Martini, who ran in for his second rushing touchdown of the season. Last week it was a QB sneak for a yard. This time a scramble. And on that play, Glasgow ran it. Ball comes out. Elizabeth says they have it. As we await the call, everyone on Elizabeth says they have it, and they do. Ishmael Glasgow coughs up the football in the middle of this third quarter. Elizabeth gets it back with great field position. A huge turning point.
Yeah, a huge momentum shift in this game. Even though it seems like Westfield's taking a commanding lead with only one touchdown, because we've only seen one score in this game, but that really isn't a lot. This is a one possession game, and with the score here, even a field goal, this puts Elizabeth right back in this game, because Mike, if they don't get a score here, there's a really good chance Westfield, with the momentum that they've had on offense, besides the last play they had, they can get another score. It could be 14-0 with a blink of an eye.
It's Moose still in the game, and Nick Marr with a big stop on the pitch by Javon Walker. And Alex, on this possession, talking about the comparisons to the NFL, if NFL running back coughs up the football, he's got some time over there on that sideline to think about it. High school-ish Glasgow's got to forget about it. Completely clear his mind about that fumble, because he's playing cornerback right now, and he doesn't want to let a receiver behind him to tie this game up for Elizabeth.
Yeah, it's different from high school and especially NFL. In the NFL, everybody has their own position. They only play one position. You don't really see guys switching positions, and especially staying on the field on defense and on offense. But in this case, in high school, it's not the case.
Elizabeth stays on the ground. Shea Elliott, Owen Kessler come up with a stop.
Yeah, and just to add on to my point before, Mike, you're definitely right. He's got to clear his mind. Definitely just really got to forget about it, because if he keeps it in his head, he could get out of hand. We saw he had an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty in the first half. I think he was talking with one of the Elizabeth coaches, and he's just got to put it behind him, because we don't want to see another unsportsmanlike conduct play. We don't want to see him affect his game as well, because it was 0-0 for half the game, and with one mistake, this Elizabeth team could have a nice passing touchdown on his fault, because he wasn't there mentally.
Elizabeth on the ground. It's Walter, and a big hit on that sideline.
Was that Poppy? 38-yard line.
And Mike, now it's going to be a big third down. I'm sorry, now it's going to be fourth down. Looks like special teams are going to come on the field, not going for the field goal, as could be assumed.
Way too far for high school. At that 39 would be about a 56-yarder. Unless you got a Division I type kicker. Even then, you see it in big-time games Saturday nights. The kickers, they're not that strong from too far. Fair catch. Again, it's another one of those fakes from Shirk. Works perfectly this time for a touchback. Last time, actually, 2 times ago, Elizabeth got that lucky bounce inside the 5.
Yeah, I think basically, except for one time, Shirk, every time it's called for a fair catch, whether it's been a touchback or not, if he's caught it. And I think that works well to his advantage, because the Elizabeth guys, they got to just basically forget about the play, because they can't touch him. If they touch him, then it's a penalty on the fair catch. So they really got to be careful. And I think that's really smart for Shirk to take advantage of that, especially when they're so far back that, a touchback could be earned for the Blue Devil team.
Kaplan and Glasgow in the backfield. Martini takes a shot. He's got an open Shirk for a big gain of 23 yards.
Mike, this Westfield team isn't necessarily used to, long, overdrawn out drives. They like to get things quick. They want to get back on defense because they know they can rely on it. And we know that this offense is a powerhouse. So once they get the gears moving, there's no stopping them. And you know they want to get their offense on the sideline, keep them warm because, like I said, we know this defense can really show up.
2 receivers on the right. There's Glasgow up the middle, but that front 4 for Elizabeth continues to play well. And they've held Glasgow in check today, Alex.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think I've only seen 2 rushing plays where Glasgow's gone over 10 yards. They're definitely doing a good job. Like I was saying before, in the first half, this was a giant battle, a war between 2 teams, and the defenses were just having at those offenses. And it looks like that, if besides the 1 score from Westfield, the Elizabeth defense hasn't changed one bit in containing this Blue Devil offense.
Jeremy Ramos, Larry Brooks on the stop for Elizabeth. Martini takes a hit as he threw it, but Mike Moriarty brings it home for a big gain. Phil Martini slow to get up.
You know, Mike, that was like a perfect pass. You know, right in front of the helmet of Moriarty. Couldn't ask for another pass, and you know, like you just said, there was contact just after the play. So way to get the ball out of his hands and make the nice play. And yet again, another pass over 15 yards.
Phil was a little shaken up, Alex, but in a big game like this, your senior year, you're staying out there unless it's a severe injury. Glasgow gets the carry, good run. Near the first down marker, might be just short, about a yard or so.
And Mike, that's a textbook play of that offensive line. I see Jordan Barham, I think I see Max Schweddy, and I also see, of course, the center Jack McCauley creating the space for Ish Glasgow. He had a lots of room. Yeah, I would say probably 2 body lengths on each side of Ish for him to get nice yards. And I think, you know, we know that the Cowboys, credit for Ezekiel Elliott, have done a really nice job. I mean, you know, he's got the most rushing yards in the league.
Glasgow this time's wrapped up by Azir Lawson for no gain.
And I think these offensive lines will get enough credit. I mean, most of the time, except when you're a really star running back, it's the credit for the offensive line making the holes in the pockets out of the, you know, kind of penetrating the defense to create room for the running backs.
Well, yeah, Westfield's had 3 running backs with tremendous success past year with Jack Curry, Matt Verano, Ish Glasgow. They're all, don't get me wrong, they're all extremely talented, great players, great athletes. But that offensive line has definitely helped them out. 20 seconds left now. 3rd and 1. It's going to be encroachment on Elizabeth. No, it's actually a false start on Westfield. So that makes it from 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 6. And that's such a big, unfortunate penalty for Westfield. Because now let's see, it brings you back to the 24. It's not going to, if Westfield gets this first down, it's not going to matter. But if they don't get this, Alex, it does make a huge difference because you're put into, DeSarno's going to be put into a situation. Do you kick it? Do you go for it? Like we saw in the first half, Westfield lets the clock run out here in the 3rd. But the defense came up big on the opening possession, getting Elizabeth negative yardage. And then a good return from Jack Shirk on the punt leads to Phil Martini's 8-yard touchdown scramble to give Westfield a 7-0 lead where we stand now. Don't go anywhere. 4th quarter coming right up here on BDTV. Back to Elizabeth here on this Friday night as you take a look at the varsity baseball field at Williams Field. Some nice athletic facilities here for Elizabeth. Beautiful football field, baseball stadium, and they got the Dunn Center. Awesome place for a basketball game. Back to the football game in front of us. As we switch sides here, it was 3rd and 6. Pass was complete to Dombrowski. And a big spot as we await a big spot. Looks just short from my angle, Alex.
Yeah, actually, and from your angle, my angle, actually, I actually thought that was a first down. But I guess they're going to be a bit short. but it is only second down. I'm sorry, 4th and 1, might be.
It is short for 4th and 1. Martini keeps it for a sneak. He got it. Man, Alex, the Blue Devils just do not like to kick field goals, I guess.
They're a super aggressive offense, and they don't. It's almost like kicking a field goal is almost like settling with points. They want that touchdown. They want those 6 points on the board with the extra point to make it 7. They're extremely aggressive, and they want the most that they can get out of a possession. I think we've only seen 2 field goals from Moriarty, even though we know he is a very good kicker. They're super aggressive, and they want that touchdown, Mike.
There's Glasgow up the middle, but again, not going anywhere really. Elizabeth's defense continues to hold them in check. 10:45 left. Larry Brooks, the sophomore, at 5'11", 200 pounds on the stop. 2nd and 3, Westfield inside the red zone at the 13-yard line. A touchdown here would be huge to make it 14-0. And it would create a tough comeback for an Elizabeth team that struggled offensively the whole game. Another flag. Delay game on Westfield. Some mistakes that have really cost both sides today, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the most penalties you've seen in any Westfield game by far.
This season.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, both sides have come in. I would say at least five penalties. Some of them you can control, some of them not. Most being offsides and unsportsmanlike conduct. But just both teams can just have to look back on the film and just practice on some things, especially reaction time with offsides.
Martini looking for McDaniel, and he makes an incredible catch. Adam McDaniel, his 2nd touchdown of the season to make it 13-0 Westfield. The junior brings in an awesome catch to break this thing open.
Yeah, that was a highlight reel type play. Diving, falling backwards, making the catch, falling, of course, in touchdown territory. Awesome touchdown. With the extra point, we'll give it a 2-possession game. That was also something huge for the momentum for this game. Not only was it a great touchdown, but now it gives Elizabeth a lot of room to make up for on the offensive end.
And that kick from Moriarty is no good. His 2nd missed extra point of the season. First one he actually missed. He missed himself. The other one was blocked.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying before, he's been nearly perfect from extra points. Something you always want. You always want to know that you can rely on your kicker in extra points and in field goals because, sometimes, Mike, in games, when it comes down to the wire, you live and you die by the field goal. So you need to make sure that you can be able to rely on your kicker in pressuring times like that.
So now the Minutemen have their backs against the wall, down by 13, with 9:53 left to play. Westfield returns home next week to take on the Spartans of Immaculata on Saturday, the 22nd of October. Kickoff at 1 o'clock. We'll have a call for you on BDTV. It'll be me and you the whole game next week, Alex. Something to look forward to. Another squib for Moriarty. Returned at the 30. And ball comes out for a second, but picked back up by the returner, Valdez. Elizabeth goes on the road to Plainfield next Saturday.
And Mike, just relaying back to that play, I think that was the second or third time this Elizabeth team has lost the ball but then quickly regained possession. You know, this is something that they need to improve on. They cannot make mistakes like this coming closer to the playoffs. You know, they need to brush up on some things like that, and in most situations, that wouldn't happen. But in all the times that it's happened so far in this game, they've regained possession.
Yeah, those playoffs are right around the corner. A few yards on the carry for Elizabeth. Javon Walker, the sophomore, who's seen the majority of the carries from the backfield tonight. And again, Jamil Jackson switching up the quarterback. It's back to the sophomore now with LaShane Taylor. 4 receivers set, 1 running back, screen pass, and caught but quickly brought down. Connor Scanlon on the stop. Harmon on the reception to bring up 3rd and 6. Looking ahead at Westfield's schedule, as we said, Immaculata next week, bye week the 29th. Then they go on the road to rival Scotch Plains. Raiders have really struggled the past few years in football. And then it's time for playoffs. Westfield will get both playoff games at home. Then obviously the Thanksgiving game as Elizabeth gets the first down, and then in beginning of December will be the state title. So we expect the Blue Devils to make it back. So Elizabeth going no huddle. Another handoff, and Nick Marr brings down Walker for a loss of about 4.
You know, Mike, so far we've seen every single one of those defensive ends make a big play. Especially in Nick Marr's case, that's at least the second time he's made a tackle with a huge loss on Elizabeth's end. We saw Jake Valls got 2 sacks, and also Owen Kessler was in there on one of them. Jeff Gagum, we know, is always the guy to get the tackles.
Big hit from Gagum. Excuse me. Actually, it was Gagum. My mistake.
And like I was just saying, he's always there for the tackles. Great heads-up player. Always knows where to be.
LaShane Taylor looks like he's got the wind knocked out of him. Jeff Gagum just came in and bulldozed the quarterback. 6'1", 245 pounds coming at you, Alex. Downhill sprinting.
Yeah, you said
and textbook tackle.
Yeah, you said it right. That was a freight train of a tackle. There's no stopping Gagum once he's in Elizabeth's backfield.
Looking deep down the field, 2 defenders in the area, and it's intercepted. Ish Glasgow makes the catch. And Westfield in really good shape now to improve to 6-0 and get win number 19 in a row. The state's longest winning streak.
Yeah, as you can see, LaShane Taylor after that interception, extremely frustrating, stomping on the ground. I'm sure he's saying some things I cannot say on the air. But, you know, it's hard for him. Huge hit right after he let the ball go. Basically, you can argue that both guys had the interception, and Connor Scanlon and Ish Glasgow on the interception. Excuse me, double coverage on the wide receiver. And that was just a poor play. And great defense. Credit to Westfield.
Elizabeth fans begin to file out as after Glasgow gets the pick, gets the carry, couple of yards. One thing you don't want right here from your offense, Alex, you do not want a turnover.
Yeah, especially when you can say that Westfield doesn't necessarily have the best field position. They're in their own territory, letting the ball go, especially when Moriarty missed the extra point. If Elizabeth gets 2 touchdowns, considering that they get both extra points, they're up in the game by 1.
Minutemen defense is going to have to stop Westfield, though, if they want any chance. Martini off the play action finds Kyle Dombrowski, who's got more, I believe, got more catches today than he had the entire season coming into today. Christopher McCrary, who was the injured Minuteman earlier in this game, makes the stop.
I mean, I think it's crazy, especially with McCrary's size. How do you bring Dombrowski down? He's a big 6'4", probably 250, 260 pounds. He looks like he's a Rob Gronkowski type player out there. A huge tight end that knows where to be, can also block and help out Ish Glasgow and the offensive line.
Martini, weird play right there, a little jump. Not sure. Play call right there, but he hands it off to Glasgow.
Ball's at the 38-yard line. Lost it 1. Second and 11.
They lose one on that play to bring up second and 11 for the Blue Devils. Both teams with 3 timeouts, but the clock continues to tick at 6:20. Only 12-minute quarters in high school. Martini rolls to his right, and pass is complete to Moriarty, just short of the first down, wrapped around and just thrown out of bounds by the defender. First time we really seen Martini move other than that touchdown scramble. It's pretty much stayed in the pocket all game long.
Yeah, usually he likes to stay in the pocket. He doesn't like to scramble, move around. He's not necessarily like a mobile kind of quarterback. You know, sometimes he'll have a QB sneak, but you know, we also don't see necessarily defensive ends get to him. That's a great offensive line who's defending him and covering him. You know, I can't remember the last time there was a sack on Martini. The offensive line doing a really nice job of protecting their quarterback. And that's why they're giving him that Martini gets so much credit for staying in the pocket, making the good passes, taking an extra second to get the job done.
Yeah, that's a great point you bring up, Alex. As Elizabeth is again going to get flagged here for encroachment. But not sure if Phil Martini's been sacked at all this season. Maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never see it happen.
Yeah, I'll say it again. It's just a great offensive line. 2 juniors, 3 seniors. Definitely an experienced offensive line, know what they're doing. And definitely one cohesive unit.
That penalty gives Westfield the first down. They stay on the ground to waste some of this clock is what they're doing right now. And Elizabeth not using their timeouts, and their defense can't get off the field.
Yeah, you know, especially, you know, we always talk about how, you know, Westfield likes to move the ball. They want to get their defense back out there, really rip up the opponent's offense. But when it comes late in the games, you know that all they want to do is just waste the clock. So you're going to keep giving the ball to, you know, the smart play will be just to keep giving the ball to Glasgow, because not only will he waste time, but in times when they get to a second down, third down, when they need to keep the possession going with the first down, they know that he can get the yardage.
Play action, Martini under pressure, and I guess we jinxed it, Alex. This time he's sacked. But not necessarily a terrible thing, because they've eaten up a ton of clock on this possession.
Yeah, I think the possession started around 8:30, 8:40, and they've now brought it down to just under 5 minutes. So doing what they need to do in, you know, trying to seal the deal to get their, you know, as you said, 19th win in a row.
3rd and 14. Probably a pass play here. 3 receivers. Again, plays blown dead, and Westfield this time will take a timeout. 4:36 left in the 4th. Blue Devils up 13-0. Defeated, up 13-0 off the screen. Shirk spins and picks up a few yards.
Looks like we have an Elizabeth player tying his shoe. Looks like number 53, Larry Brooks, the sophomore defensive lineman, offensive lineman, who was 5'11", 200 pounds. So he's a big kid. But, you know, always got to get those shoes tied. We don't want you getting tripping up there on the field.
Westfield's going to have to punt now after that screen picked up a few yards. 8 to be exact. Dombrowski back, and I'm not sure why Elizabeth doesn't call a timeout because that clock's at 3:40 now. Return from the 12. Pretty good return, but eventually brought down by
Elizabeth to start from. So with 3:34 remaining in the fourth quarter, Elizabeth will start from the 26-yard line. First and 10. So we have a first and 10 from the 26 for the Minutemen. Quarterback keeper swings around to the left. Stop for about a 2-yard gain.
short gain there for Elizabeth. Our apologies, no 65 listed on the official Westfield roster.
Second and 8.
So second and 8. I'm not sure, Alex, if Elizabeth is just giving up right now or they have no awareness of the clock.
Comes up the middle of the line.
Number 8, the quarterback, keeps it. Jamin Moose.
He is one heck of a player, Mike. You know, we saw him as quarterback being brave enough to just take it and go for like a sneak up the middle and putting a spin move on this defensive line and got about 7 yards. He is just one heck of a player.
Yeah.
Making plays on, basically on all ends of the offense. He was playing a little slot wide receiver before, and now he's a quarterback.
Nice move there from Moose, and he picks up the first down as he lowers the shoulder. Good gain. And he's definitely been, as we said before, the biggest weapon for the Minutemen. And not going to speculate anything, but there's a guy standing up over here wearing an Oregon jacket. Every time Moose has the ball, he's taking notes. So who knows? Maybe he's a scout all the way over from Eugene, Oregon, to scout Moose, the senior, who scrambles, spin moves, but then he falls down. If he didn't fall and trip, he would have had a first down probably.
Yeah, lots of open field. It's just unfortunate he had to fall down. You know, at this point in the game, when it's over, you kind of almost want these Elizabeth players to kind of perform well at the end of the game. I believe there's no chance that they can come back. 140 and change left in this ball game. And like you said before, they're going to seal the deal. 19 wins, no losses in their last 19 games.
Just sort of poor clock management we've seen the past 7 minutes from Elizabeth as that pass, not sure who was intended for, well over the head of the Westfield safety, Adam McDaniel. They really sort of just gave up these past 8 minutes, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen much effort from this team. It's interesting because in the first half, these teams, they both looked like state champ caliber teams. You know, as we know, Blue Devils won last year, and Elizabeth, they did okay last year, but it looked like that Elizabeth really held their ground with Westfield. But once the second half came around, we knew that the energy from Westfield was just going to be too much for Elizabeth, and they weren't able to contain them on the offensive end.
That pass is incomplete, hit the ground. Intended for number 23, Brian Jalin, the senior fullback, and his first look tonight. Once again, the Blue Devils return home next Saturday to take on the Immaculata Spartans at Keller. And Elizabeth goes on the road to Plainfield. Nice run by Jamin Moose.
Again, just basically just creating his own openings. He doesn't even need an offensive line. We talk about, Ish should get a lot, the offensive line should get a lot of credit to Ish having his success this year. But Jamin Moose, he can create his own openings, his own holes, his own pockets, and penetrate this Westfield defense. And so far, he's done a great job of doing that. The only issue is it seems like he's really the only large playmaker on this team. If he just had a few more guys around him, maybe a true quarterback, another wide receiver, this Elizabeth team could be a lot better than they are right now.
Timeout taken by the Minutemen. Will stay with you. 68 seconds left till Westfield improves to 6-0. And again, their 19th consecutive win.
So with 1:08 remaining, Westfield, Blue Devils 13.
It's gone by really fast now, so we're already halfway through the season.
Yeah, it's been one fun year so far. As say, knock on wood, no losses to come.
Jamin Moose stays on his feet all the way inside the 20. And this now brings up our point you and I were just discussing. Poor clock management by the Minutemen. If they go on to score a touchdown here, they are really going to regret how they managed the clock from 8.5 to about a minute.
Yeah, and also we haven't seen Jamin Moose play this well so far. We know that we've seen him on the kick returns and on some runs, but he's ran this offense from basically a 30-yard line up until Westfield's own 20.
So let's see here. Can the Elizabeth make it interesting? Taking a shot in the end zone. They got a man. And it is caught. Touchdown Elizabeth. Gets their fans excited. So they'll kick the extra point now. 50 seconds left. 2 timeouts. They got to go for the onside kick, though.
And just like that, Mike, with one score, Elizabeth's actually right back in this game. 50.5 seconds left. Just like that, if they get the onside kickback with 2 timeouts, there is a really, really good chance. That's a lot of time. There's a good chance that this Elizabeth team, with the way the Moose has been playing and running the offense, can put it back for another touchdown.
Extra point is through the goalposts and good. So
Yep.
the score now 13-7 Westfield. Hang on, don't go anywhere. I believe it was Christopher McCrary. It was tough to see from here on the receiving end of the about 18-yard touchdown. Good throw by Jamin Moose.
And Mike, just to reiterate back, that extra point was actually really big into staying in this game. As we know, Moriarty missed the extra point. That's going to be huge, especially if Elizabeth now. None of this might not happen if Elizabeth doesn't get the ball. We're basically assuming they do, and if they do get it back, that was super important that they made this extra point, because if they missed it, then they can really only tie it. That was they really needed that one, and there's obviously a really good chance that the Elizabeth team get another opportunity for an extra point, and if they make it, they basically have won the ball game.
So Brian Betrago, who's done all the punting this evening for the Minutemen, has a big onside kick ahead of him. 10 Blue Devils on the hands team. Ish Glasgow, the only guy back. And here we go, and Westfield recovers. Jake Valabera falls right on top of it to seal the deal for the Blue Devils.
Yeah, got to give credit to Jake Val. That's basically, going to seal the deal. And, as we talked about before, Jake Valabera, an extremely talented baseball player as well. We know that, this year he'll probably be the starting catcher on the baseball team as Devin Anderson will graduate. and, you know, just getting down on it, just like as he would in the baseball diamond, getting down on it, making sure he keeps the ball in front of him, and in this case, just a nice catch.
As you see there on the scoreboard, 49.3 seconds remaining. Elizabeth sort of needs a miracle here. They are going to try to make something happen. 2 timeouts left, just used 1. So depending on this clock here, there might be about 6 seconds left on 4th down for Westfield. We'll see what they're going to do. Because after this 2nd down, Elizabeth's just going to call timeout. But then on 3rd down, they can't stop the clock. Martini takes a knee. Elizabeth calls a timeout. Minutemen can't be too happy with that scoreboard keeper because he just wasted about 2-3 seconds. Each one's crucial. So there's 44 seconds remaining.
You know, there's not much this Elizabeth team can do. And this was, at the end, it turned out to actually be a really interesting ball game. And if Elizabeth were to, you know, get the onside kick back, this game could have gone from a ceiling from, you know, an easy Westfield 19th consecutive win.
3rd and 13, and Martini wisely takes his time right there before he takes the knee. And that should end the ball game. At 30 seconds, clock ticking. The Minutemen cannot stop the clock. The Blue Devils were tested, Alex. A scoreless first half. Look a little nervous for the fans. But they come out strong in the 2nd half. Adam McDaniel had a really nice touchdown catch for the 2nd touchdown. Martini's scramble was the 1st touchdown.
And with
there you see what we're talking about, that the play clock at 40. So there's 2.2 seconds. It's 4th down. The Westfield, all they got to do is snap it, take a few steps, then knee. It's over.
Not much easier you can get to 19 wins in a row.
If it was at about 10 seconds, Elizabeth would have had a shot maybe at a punt return. But man, Alex, they are really going to, if they look back at the film, which I'm sure they'll do, they just need to manage the clock better.
Yeah,
the past 8 minutes.
I mean, you're right. They kind of just gave up on it. And, you know, Elizabeth could have done a lot more. They got a touchdown, I would say, within a minute and a half. All thanks to, of course, Jamin Moose. But it looks like, as everybody could assume, Martini's going to snap it and take a knee.
Take a few steps and hold on to it. Martini moves back and falls to the ground. And the Westfield Blue Devils have won their 19th consecutive game and improved to 6-0 on the season. It is a great day to be a Blue Devil wherever you may be. And Alex, what impressed you with Westfield's performance in the 2nd half?
Of course, it was their offense. You know, Jack Shirk, and the special teams, of course, as well. Jack Shirk was the one able to, you know, about the 45, 40-yard line, take it to the 20. And from there, Phil Martini led his offense in for a touchdown, and him as well for the 8-yard touchdown. And then, you know, of course, just on the defensive end as well, on the possession beforehand, stopping Elizabeth, you know, at about from the 40-yard line, bringing them back all the way to about the 10. Not letting Elizabeth get a single yard except for the offsides penalty that they had. You know, and all around, especially in the first half, you know, there's some things that Westfield still needs to brush up on. So far they're perfect in the season, but there's still things they have to work on because they're technically not perfect. And you know, on the Elizabeth side, in the first half, they played some pretty stellar football, letting Westfield basically not have a possession go over 50 yards. Having lots of 3-and-outs and making it extremely competitive. But once the 2nd half came, Westfield came out running. And as we know, once Westfield has the momentum, they're going to take it all the way. And as you saw, 13-0 ball game, and just another, like you said, 19 wins in a row for this Blue Devil team.
And that wraps things up here from Williams Field in Elizabeth. The Blue Devils take care of business. Again, your final score 13-7 in favor of Westfield. We'll see you next week, everybody.